Hi guys, welcome to my car. Welcome to a chat with Brittany. Welcome back to the channel for another video today, guys. We are in my car. Like I mentioned, I'm about to head out for my walk, and I had something pop into my brain that I just needed to get out and needed to chat with you guys about before I forget all about it, because my brain tends to forget things and then like 3 weeks later I remember them. But I was sitting here filming a TikTok for my main TikTok. I have a couple of TikTok accounts, but my main one, I was filming a TikTok on diet culture. And it really, in the TikTok space, you can talk for what, like, I don't know, a minute, I think up to 10 minutes, but does anybody really watch a 10-minute video? So it's hard to say everything that you want to say within that minute space. I can't tell you how many times I like re-record something because I spent too much time talking about one thing or whatever. And so I was filming this TikTok and I said, you know what, there is so much I could say about this and so much that is on my brain that I feel like I should just have a real raw chat on YouTube about it. So that is why we are here. That is what we're going to do. There has been, I have noticed in the last, I don't know, maybe 6 months, this new wave of GLP1 content that focuses very heavily on diet culture. And we've seen how that has transformed. If you are in the social media space at all, we have seen how that has transformed into like censorship, right? So like on TikTok, for example, they don't want you, their new guidelines that they came out really heavily focus on like restrictive eating and fad diets and stuff that is going to trigger people into heavy restrictiveness and possible problems down the road, right? And so we've seen this evolve over the past 6 months where we have put ourselves back into the diet culture box. And what I mean by that is heavy restriction. Of course, the sun's going to come out right when you can see all my shadows, but that it is what it is. Heavy restriction in terms of calorie counting, in terms of how much protein we're eating in a day. I myself am guilty of this. Literally yesterday, I posted a video talking about how much protein you should eat, how much fiber you should be getting in your diet, all of that. And yes, that is all very important, right? And there are guidelines for what you should or should not be doing in terms of your GLP-1 use, right? But the problem is there's a lot of people who have taken it to the point where we are very heavily calorie counting. We are very heavily focused on how much we're moving our body, how much food is going into our body. We are obsessing all over again. I've interviewed several people in the past couple of weeks, and almost all of them talk about how they are, weighing all their food out and how they are so focused on calories and making sure they get enough protein in the day and not eating cake when you're at a birthday party and it's your birthday because, you can't do that because you'll gain weight. That is diet culture. That is not intuitiveness that the GLP-1 is supposed to be able to create in your life. If I could teach one thing on this channel, if like the education part of this for me was one thing, it would be somehow getting it through to people, to everybody, that GLP-1 use does not require restrictiveness in any way, shape, or form. And a restrictive diet, again, in any way, shape, or form, so eliminating whole food groups, there is a reason why we have all of these food groups. There's a reason why, our ancestors ate vegetables and fruit and bread from flour that they made and rice and meat. There's a reason why they were able to create all of these meals while mama stayed home and made homemade bread all day and everybody came in and ate it all and everybody was thin and everybody was healthy. It's because they ate in a way that is so different from what we eat today. And yes, you can blame that on like heavy processed foods and just how the food market has evolved over time, but they weren't eliminating food groups, entire food groups, right? They just weren't eating processed crap. And the point of a GLP-1 is to get your body to be hormonally balanced and balanced in all ways to the point where you are able to naturally just do that and not have to think about it and not have to fuss over it and not have to count every calorie that goes in your mouth. You know, if you still are worrying so much about calories, and if you're still worrying so much about, your next meal and heavily focused on that piece of cake at the birthday dinner, then your dose probably isn't high enough. I will die on that hill. If you're not having the amount of food noise suppression that you are to the point where you don't need to worry about that, where you don't stress over it, where you can eat a piece of cake and not feel guilty about it, you probably are not on a high enough dose. I'm not a doctor, right? But I know through 3 years of experience what a proper dose is and what a too much of a dose is and what not enough of a dose is. And you find that out by trial and error through yourself, right? But the thing that we should be focusing on, and the thing that all doctors should be helping you achieve, is finding your perfect dose that gets you to the point where you do not have to obsess, think about, focus on dieting. The word dieting should not be in your brain. Dieting and GLP-1 do not go together. They don't work. They don't mesh. They don't go together. And if you are stuck in that space, I know how that feels. And I know that so many people are going to comment on this video and say, Brittany, some people need to count calories. Some people have to do that. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't. That's the whole freaking point. It's the whole point, is so that you don't have to do that, so that you heal your body. This is not about restriction. This is not about counting. This is about healing. And it's not just about weight loss. It's about healing all of the different hormones, getting your gut to your brain connections working the way they've always supposed to work, that they haven't, because there's something wrong within us that makes it so that we needed this new hormone replacement. That's the point. Healing the inside, healing your hormone levels so that you can do the things that quote unquote naturally healthy, naturally thin people have always been able to do. It's to get you to their state. They didn't get to their state by counting calories, by restricting food. Look at like pretty much any weight loss guru person in society, right? Most of them do not have a longevity of keeping up with the facade for longer than like 5 years. And statistically, nobody does, right? We all regain our weight that we've lost. Even those fitness people you see on Instagram that lost 100 pounds and, whatever. Either they are still living heavily restrictively and probably miserable, or they gain their weight back when they try to function like a normal person. I know that it can be difficult to let go of restrictiveness and let go of diet culture that we've been taught and ingrained into our brain for our whole life. I get that. It can be hard. For me, when the GLP-1 dose got to the right dose for me, it just clicked and I never counted another calorie. And if I'm being 100% honest, the only time that I count protein is when I film what I eat in a day videos for you guys. Now, I naturally eat that way every other day, but the only day that I literally think about it and count up what I'm eating is when I film those videos. And that's really just so I can give you an example of what my day looks like and give you an example of what my calories look like. I'm trying to fix that sun, but it's just going to be what it is. What my protein levels look like on a normal day. And that is what they look like. But I don't count anything, ever. I don't restrict myself. If I want a piece of candy, I eat a piece of candy. Because again, find somebody in your life that is a naturally healthy person and have a deep discussion with them about how their brain thinks about food. and how their brain functions in terms of how they treat food. None of those people are even in diet culture. Again, if they are, they most likely lost a lot of weight and they most likely are still living heavily restrictive. We're not supposed to live that way. And I just want to scream that from the rooftops and figure out some way to get that through to people. And I think that the only way to really do that is it's a process. You know, I was talking to Adrienne Gledhill, who I interviewed a few weeks ago, and, you know, she is very active in the carnivore community. And we were speaking about how the process ends up looking for her in people that were carnivore, people that were in heavily restrictive diets, and how a lot of the times it starts out very restrictive. They're counting everything that they put into their body. And then as time goes on, as their dose levels out, as their GLP-1 hormones kind of figure themselves out when they start on the therapy, then it just sort of naturally shifts to they don't need to count calories and they don't need to count all of the things. Their body figures it out. And, you know, a lot of people don't want you to know this, right? They don't want you to know this. They don't want to talk about this, because if they did, they'd put themselves out of business, right? Like, but the bottom line is the only thing you need is the GLP-1. Yes, you need to fuel your body. Yes, you need to do that healthy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the GLP-1 itself, taking all other factors out, will do that for you eventually, if you allow it to. If you sit back, submit to the GLP-1, submit to what it's going to do for you, and allow it to work, it will. I promise. It will. In my real life, I know so many people that are on a GLP-1. My brother just started on Zepbound. Two of my sisters, I got so many siblings. Two of my sisters, my mom, me, one of my very best friends is on Zepbound. None of them count calories, and they've all been successful. This is my hill to die on. I don't care what people say about, you know, people talk about maintenance. Like, you don't need this maintenance dose. You need microdosing. You don't need to do this. You just need to fast. No, you don't. You just need to take the GLP-1. It's not as complicated as we are making it. You just need to take the GLP-1, submit to the process, and let it work. That's it. I'm very much prepared for the comments I'm going to receive on this video, just so y'all know. And I will die on my heels, because it frustrates the crap out of me when we are so heavily stuck in diet culture. And it's not our fault. It's not your fault. It's not any of our faults. It's the media's fault and the early 2000s skinny saga's fault. It's their fault, but we can remove ourselves from it. And you just have to, like, give yourself the freedom to remove yourself from that space. It is so freeing when you finally do. Like, literally the best thing in the world when you finally remove yourself from that space. And I pray and I hope every single day that every single one of you gets to that point. I interviewed, I'm not going to say names, right? But I interviewed somebody maybe a month ago. And after our conversation, I left that conversation feeling anxious, because that particular person is so stuck in diet culture. It is so using GLP-1 the total opposite way that it was meant for, like using it to be restrictive, using it as a way to help them be restrictive. And I like prayed for that person for like 3 weeks. Like, can this person have a breakthrough of some sort? And I don't think they have yet, but I'm really praying and hoping for that person that they do, because the amount of anxiety that I could like feel coming through the screen when I was interviewing them was so intense. And if I was feeling that, and I'm a very empathetic person, I can feel energy very well. My mom said that it's my curse, because I've always been able to tell when somebody is a good person or not, like literally within a few minutes of meeting them. A very good discernment. And so when I can feel that energy coming off of somebody, like imagine how they're feeling if you can feel it, right? So anyway, I'm going to end this because now I'm just rambling at this point, but this has been real heavy on my mind, and racking my brain to try and figure out a way to help people come full circle before they get so caught up in diet culture and being skinny, because that's just not the point. So of course, I want to know your thoughts. If you're going to comment on this video, please do so in a respectful way. We can have respectful criticism. We can absolutely do that. But if you are mean or rude to anybody else, then I will delete the comments. Just a little forewarning. We can respectfully disagree with each other and not attack each other. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I am going to go walk now because I've been sitting here for about 45 minutes just rambling to my phone on TikTok and on YouTube now. So maybe I should actually go walk, and I will see you guys soon. I was supposed to have an interview up today, but it'll be up tomorrow on Friday, because I thought that when you re-edit on StreamYard, it saves it as a new edit, and I thought I had published it to YouTube and I had not. And so yeah, it would take forever to process and go through that whole thing. So it'll be posted tomorrow, but stay tuned for that. That's Michelle's interview, and we had such a good conversation. So that'll post on Friday. And until then, guys, I hope you have a good day, and I hope you remember to take a deep breath and enjoy the process. Have a great day, guys.